The lights are off in the White House press office, according to multiple reports in the media. Kayleigh McEnany, the press secretary, has tested positive, but apparently there's a whole bunch of staffers there who have tested positive as well. We don't know how many shoes have dropped around the White House. I mean, keep in mind, the White House was built during, in the late 1700s. I believe John Adams was the first to occupy it. It was completed during the John Adams administration. I may be off on that. I may be wrong. It might have been the end of the Washington administration. But, Thomas Jefferson was famous for answering the front door of the White House wearing his pajamas. I mean, that's like, so I know it happened before the first decade of the 1800s. And when it was built, it was very expensive to heat a building. And, the heating technology and insulation technology were pretty much non-existent. So you had, and they didn't have, bathrooms and things like that. And so you had, or maybe they did, but they were, very different than what we understand them to be. And so there was, the rooms are small. The building is small. I've been in there. I've been in the White House. I both as a tourist and as a guest of Vice President Biden's staff. And it's just, and the ventilation system is old. It's been updated many, many times, but it's not designed to keep the environment virus free. It's designed to maintain a stable temperature. And so, you've got this relatively small space and then Typhoid Trump comes in. Right, and just brings virus with him all over the place. It's starting to, I think increasingly look like the super spreader event was Saturday, a week ago Saturday. It'd be 9 days ago, and that was at the, in what used to be called the Rose Garden before Melania ripped out most of the roses and paved it, and maybe it's still called the Rose Garden. I don't know. But whatever, it was, or the South Lawn, maybe it was on the South Lawn, wherever it was, the event that they had, I mean, it's like most of the people in the front rows, the two front rows now, look to be infected. Now, some people are saying, oh, that's because Donald Trump was standing in front of them from the podium and blowing viruses at them. It's true, a true Typhoid Mary kind of Typhoid Trump kind of thing. Could be. In particular, if the wind was blowing from behind Trump and toward the crowd. But what I think is more likely is that there was also a function inside the White House for the VIP guests in one of the rooms in the White House. And again, even the large rooms in the White House are small. I mean, some of the meeting rooms in the White House are the size of a good-sized bedroom in a modern home. They're very rarely the size of a normal living room, or at least the ones I've seen. And I think I've seen probably most of them downstairs. And as a result of that, you get 10, 20, 30 people in there, you're going to have a super spreading event right there. So my guess is that the super spreading event wasn't on the lawn. It was inside, and the reason that the people in the front row got it is because they were the VIPs who had been invited inside, and they probably had reserved seating when they came out as VIPs. Although this is pure speculation on my part. But if that's the case, in all probability, that was when Trump got it as well. It was Saturday, a week ago Saturday. Which means that probably on Monday and Tuesday, when he was doing debate prep with Chris Christie, and on Monday and on Tuesday, when he went to the debates, he was contagious. And if they're testing every day, he probably knew it. They're doing these rapid tests, these Abbott rapid tests at the White House. They have about a 4 or 5% false positive rate. So if you test 100 people, 4 or 5 of them are going to show positive, even though they're not. And because of that, they might not have taken it so seriously and thought, well, let's just, do it again tomorrow and see what happens. Not showing any symptoms, it's all good. I mean, if they're that cavalier about it, who knows? I mean, if they're really running off Scott Atlas's suggestion, the Fox News quack radiologist that is running the COVID operation in the White House, if they're really running off his advice that what we really need to get to is, what he refers to as population immunity, herd immunity, then that would make sense. Plus the PCR tests, which is where they take basically the way it works is you take a little bit of the virus or the DNA from the virus, and you have to amplify it. It has to be basically cloned over and over and over again to get a large enough chunk of that virus that it can be tested. And then you're actually testing for a piece of the RNA that makes up the virus. That PCR test, because you have to basically process the material in order to increase the quantity of it, takes time. It can take 5-6 hours. It can take overnight. Depends on the kind of equipment that you're using, how efficient it is, how fancy it is, and all that kind of stuff. So it might be that it wasn't until Tuesday or Wednesday that he learned about it. But Chris Wallace, the Fox News host, was clearly pissed off about this, for lack of a better phrase. He had a White House spokesman on his show yesterday on Fox News, and he was saying, the whole family, the whole Trump family took off their masks. I mean, is this the policy? Is this the advice? I mean, the question he asked was, do they not think that the rules apply to them? Because the rules inside that debate hall were very clear. They were set by the Cleveland Clinic, and it was everybody shall wear a mask at all times, period, full stop, no exceptions, except for the two speakers, the president and the vice president, and Chris Wallace. Those are the only three people who were not ordered to wear masks. But the whole Trump family just sat there with no masks on, just grinning and like, hey, rules don't apply to us. Only little people pay taxes. We're rich and this is what they were doing. And Chris Wallace took this guy to task for it over the weekend. And then the guy said, now I'm debating you just like Trump had to debate you. Right. So, then he goes to his Klan rally in Minnesota on Wednesday. And he had a couple of events in Minnesota with big high-dollar donors. And then he had this major event Thursday night in Bedminster. And I'm guessing he knew he had tested positive before any of these things happened. And he just thought, he could beat the odds like he's done it 100 times. He's raped all these women, gotten away with it, grabbed them by the genitals and gotten away with it. Paid off a few of them, got away with it, still became president. He's bankrupted 6 businesses. He embezzled hundreds of millions of dollars from his father's estate, or just nakedly stole it from his brothers and sister. He's got away with literally everything. He hired people to take his tests for him when he was in school. So he probably figured, hey, I can get away with this too. And then, had it not been for Jennifer Jacobs, that Bloomberg reporter who spilled the beans, we may still not know what was going on. I mean, they've been trying to hide all this stuff. And I'm wondering how many other Republicans are infected. Tom Cotton over the weekend said, if we're going to have a vote on Amy Coney Barrett, if people are sick, we will wheel them in to the Senate to vote. Oh, really? These are the new rules? I mean, it's just, typhoid Trump here is, shall we say, creating a problem. Meanwhile, his son Eric is being deposed, probably as we speak, by the officers working for Letitia James, the Attorney General for the state of New York, about bank fraud and tax fraud, inflating the value of your assets to get loans, reducing the value of your assets to not pay more in taxes. And I'm guessing they're guilty as sin.